Hey everybody, it's Psychic Hunter David, and it is Tuesday. You have to look at the date all the time. Tuesday the 11th. I've got a hair here from one of the animals. One of the things that's really interesting, is that we're feeding into this Leo full moon. And, my legal representative and I were talking on the phone last night, and she said something very interesting. She said, never let people up on where they're actually out of line. She's got to step on it. And believe me, I've been doing it. And in doing so, it's come to reasoning without necessarily pointing a finger and blaming. It's making them aware of what are you doing? And people have done it to me. Listen, I've done this for 35 years. So it's being able to be that strong. And of course, moving into this Leo full moon, remember, it goes on from now until that new moon. It completes itself. The cycle resonates for weeks after and then goes right through until we hit Leo. So I have Leo ascendant, Donald Trump has Leo ascendant, my ex has Leo ascendant, another ex is a Leo. It just goes on and on and on. And the thing about the whole Leo thing, and all you Leos out there, listen up to this, is that your intensity has resonance. Resonance is almost like vibrational. And it just means we just have to be careful what we say. Like one of the things I learned in my life, and I learned from my father first, and I didn't listen, and then I actually found an essence of being able to really understand it, is to just be very, very careful of accusatory involvement. Be very, very careful of, shooting one's mouth off without having necessarily the facts. I've even run into it, unprofessionally in my environment from people in a position that should understand certain laws that are here in Canada that they do not understand. And this is one of the things across the board, is that we can shoot our mouth off, but if we are actually caught with our pants down, you better be bloody careful. And as I've said, everybody has a phone and a recording device in their hand with a cell phone. The world has changed, folks, and we have to be very, very careful. I called a situation, it's now being rectified, hopefully. And, this is one of, and there's been a few, but we all have to be aware of the things we do. We're not all perfect. That's why, I make it very clear, and I've reiterated this now, numerous readings now. This is like the fourth time I put this up here, about the Privacy Act and about really being aware of how intense these things have become because of technology, because people need to know the facts. They need to be understanding, being taught, constantly upgrading upon themselves. I heard a colleague who I really observe. I don't mimic what he says or what he does because he's his own person, as are numerous other people. But he made a comment about paying attention to things that are more or less really innumerable. They're useless. So it's paying attention and giving focus and energy to nonsensical situation in your life, rather than giving the energy and the focus to the things you do want to achieve. Now, that is a principle of creative visualization that I learned 35 years ago. Because at the same period of time thereafter, a couple of years, I got to read the late Shakti Gawain's book, which I've reiterated and mentioned numerous times on my channels on Instagram and Facebook and on YouTube. And it is by Shakti Gawain. That was her Indian name that was given to her Hindu name. That was not her real name, her Anglo-Saxon name. But she was American, and she had passed away a few years ago, right at the beginning of COVID, actually. Not of COVID, I don't think. And she wrote the book Creative Visualization and then numerous other books after. But it's a great beginning book to read, to understand about vibration. People will say, well, how did they get to this? They've got to be crooked. That's not necessarily true. The goal in life is what you believe you'll manifest. And that is why a lot of our ancestors, a lot of people you see, came from the old world to the new world and became very, very successful because they believed. They believed that they were going to be aristocracy. Because at the time, you have to understand, that was the landowners, the money. It is still in existence. Look what Bill Gates has done. So it still exists. They're not wearing crowns. They're not dictating on one level. They're using media. They're using fear. They're using all these other things as their dictational ability. But anyway, I'm around. I'm working this week. So give me a call if you're interested to get in. Be aware that tomorrow is that full moon in Leo. And we are cresting that full moon as we speak, as I speak. So you just want to be aware of that the 12th is that full moon in Leo. And it's interesting energy that we're moving into. It's then, of course, we move into next week. We get into the 19th, 20th. We move into Pisces. And we're going to talk about that later because we've got the North Node there. We've got an eclipse, and that also sets off the cycle where we move from that into Aries, which I'm getting way ahead of myself because I like spring. I'm not that thrilled with the energy of the weather right now, but I ignore it. Go from here over to have coffee with friends and come back. I just ignore it. So anyway, all the power to those people out there shoveling sidewalks. God bless you all. And make sure you take care of dogs. Remember, dogs' pads on their feet are not good on salt that is used on sidewalks. I see these poor animals. I can't even imagine the dogs on farms that are tied outside. Sorry, I had it out with my grandfather about that. Anyway, we're not going to think about that. You guys have a great day today. Enjoy, and you heard it here first. Cheers.